Danielle, y'all have acquired ataxia. We have Danielle here. She has acquired ataxia. In your words, give me your description of acquired ataxia.
So even though I acquired my ataxia through a bug or a virus, I still have the same symptoms as everyone else that had the genetic or unknown or acquired ataxia. Basically, my gait is affected, my walking, my balance, and I have difficulty with my eyes. I had nystagmus, so they're never in focus. They're always jumping up and down, so I can never focus on one thing. Nothing is ever stable in my field of vision. It's always moving. So it makes it harder to actually walk because of my eyesight. I feel that if everything wasn't always in motion, I think I could walk a little bit better. Um, I don't use any kind of assistive devices. I still could walk on my own, but like I said, I still have the same symptoms as everyone else. So I'm basically on the same page as everyone else. There's one downside. Since it is acquired, I can't participate in any kind of studies. There's a new medication that's out that Columbia, which is one of the big hospitals here in New York, they offer. And since my ataxia is not genetic, and I don't have a definitive name like SCA 1 or 2 or 3, I can't receive the medication to see if it would work with my symptoms since I don't have a genetic diagnosis. So that's one downside to it being acquired. In a way, I kind of wish that it was genetic and I knew exactly which one it was, because then I could take part in some of the studies that are going on now with medication.
Yeah, I have. Well, they just found out I also have genetic, but they don't know what kind. So it's an unknown hereditary ataxia. And my acquired from a stroke accelerated my hereditary ataxia. Because it's acquired, people at first were very hesitant of what we're doing. But we knew, Danny and I knew everything that we do, such as the stem cells, the diet, the hydration, so on and so forth, will work for both acquired and hereditary. Right, Dan?
Yeah, you can improve any almost anything I can think of with intense exercise, diet, like we advocate carnivore diet. The stem cells is another thing that there's so many things like that that aren't considered. They're not even considered at all. Well, some medical professionals consider them. They look outside the box, but yeah, mainstream, they don't even consider it. They don't even think about, you'll hear doctors say for everything like, you need to eat right and exercise, but they don't even know exactly what that means. And you can tell because they don't tell you what it is. They don't tell you how to eat. They don't tell you what exercise to do, which is fine. I mean, if they don't know, they don't know. At least they know enough to say that. But on our end, we're saying that that needs to be the focus. The diet and exercise, not like we'll look for this experimental drug. Hopefully over time it'll happen. And in the meantime, eat well and exercise, because it makes it sound like it's a side thing, a secondary thing, like it's not that important. But we know it's the most important. Like that's what's going to help you in the here and now, right now. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, you're waiting for some miracle cure, and you don't know it's going to come or not.
Yeah,
Right.
I got stem cells from R3. Now R3 has clinics here in the US, but I got mine in Mexico, and there is a big difference. The ones that you get abroad are not, they don't have the regulations, meaning the ones abroad are able to be cultured So basically, they can take the very best stem cells and multiply them, which they can't do here in the US. So R3 has a treatment for ataxia, but it has to be done at their Mexico clinic. And when I got the stem cells, it gave me a big bump. And then I got on the carnivore diet, and that gave me another big bump. And then I got stem cells again, which gave me another bump, and just continued to get better from there. So the stem cells and the carnivore diet have helped tremendously. And thanks to Danny getting me on the carnivore diet, because I never thought it would work, which goes back to the whole medical industry saying you can't eat that way. You have to eat so many cups of vegetables, so much fruit, have your fiber, stuff like that, but you don't need that.
Danielle,
Yes.
what do you mean you got yours from a bug? Like, what happened?
So basically, the bug was carrying a virus and it bit me in Mexico, and I didn't know anything about it. I really didn't think twice. I just
Oh,
thought
so
it
you
was
mean
like,
a literal bug. You don't mean like the flu or something. You mean a literal
no,
insect.
no, a literal insect, yeah, it bit me. And I thought that it was like a mosquito. I really didn't think much of it until I got home and everything was happening. I was falling, I was tripping.
Did
So
the bug bite make you sick like a cold or the flu or something like that too, or no?
no, nothing. I experienced no side effects like cold or fever, nothing like that. I just figured it was a mosquito. And then when I got home, I started tripping, falling, and I found I couldn't balance myself on a bicycle, and it just I knew there was something wrong. It just wasn't me. So a friend of mine, her mother was a nurse, and they recommended this doctor. So I went to go see him, and he did an MRI of the brain. And once you know, lo and behold, this bug attacked part of my brain, the cerebellum, and it died in my system after he did the damage. It died. So, but the damage was done. I couldn't reverse it. There was nothing I could do. He was me and I didn't know of it. I didn't know he was there.
So,
And he
so
was
the bug that bit you injected like another bug in you?
well, the bug, I guess he was carrying the virus and it was in my system for a while, like a few weeks to a month. And
Oh,
I
so it didn't happen instantly.
no, no. It fed off my organs. That's how he survived.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Man,
so it's a rare way of getting this, but it happens, unfortunately.
wow.
Yeah.
Got
Did
that.
you ever hear of any other cases of that happening to anyone else?
No, it's funny because actually, no, no, I never heard of any other similar stories like mine. I think mine is just extremely rare that it happens. But unfortunately, those were the cards I was dealt.
Ah,
No.
whew.
So
Just remember, everything happens for a reason. Sometimes we don't know it, but eventually it will come around. Just gotta have faith.
you're right.
Um, can you have a part of Ataxia, right? Dan,
Dan.
Yes, I do. Yeah, but it's
can you,
unknown. Like I have an
can you
unknown origin.
explain? Can you explain to everybody what kind of a part you have?
Um, it's a idiopathic. It's unknown as to how I got it, but they know it's not genetic because, well, I took the genome or exome or whatnot paneling, and you know blood draws and genetics counselors. So they did investigate into um, the genetics of my family history. It came back inconclusive. So I don't know. So what I'm thinking is they figure it's acquired, but we don't know how. No big event happened to me.
Hey, Dan, how did you start? Like, so did things come on? Did you get like symptoms or things happening gradually, or was it like one day you woke up and you just felt something different?
No, it was gradual, and I figure I had some semblance of my ataxia my whole life, to be honest. But it just really, really started ramping up in my later 20s.
So when you were younger,
Sorry about
it
that.
wasn't really a thing.
No, not really. I figured I was just kind of clumsy but I still did all the kid stuff, skateboarding, scaling walls, and jumping off gaps and whatever.
Yeah, interesting. So
So
have you noticed it getting worse or better or staying the same?
Like I said, it ramped up in my 20s or late 20s, and then I feel like it's sort of plateaued a little bit. Maybe it's gradually getting worse, but it's pretty gradual at this point. And I do a lot of things to try and mitigate my situation. Like I do stretches and exercise, and I like on a good day I try to practice my balance kind of things. But
Interesting.
do you all go to the gym that often?
See, that's
I
my.
do when I can, but not very often. Go ahead, Danielle.
I'm sorry, Dan. No, that's my problem because I'm on disability, and the doctor that works with the lawyer told me I can't go to the gym. I go for physical therapy and stuff, and I use the machines there and we work out.
I've heard of it, but not for your. I've heard of it. I've heard the only time I've heard of something like what you're describing is when you hear these cases of where, like, say, like you bring up a lawsuit, say you want to sue somebody and say you got hurt. So then the insurance company might watch you to see if you're really hurt or if you're
Mhm.
just suing, to get money.
Oh,
But I've never
uh-huh.
heard of it. I've never heard of it for something that where you're diagnosed with something. I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
That
no,
sounds
I
cool.
want to
And because
better
you go to
myself.
yeah, it doesn't make no sense to me. And
I
especially
know.
if you go to PT, like not what's the difference, but like in those eyes, from that perspective, why can't you go to the gym? Like, why would they say that?
Exactly. I don't know. They just
Why would you listen?
yeah. Well, I was afraid, it was all new to me, so I was scared to
Yeah,
go. But I mean, I have a lot of equipment here at the house because I feel like I can't go to a gym, so I have a lot of equipment. I
Well,
purchased on
that
my
is an
own.
alternative. That is a viable alternative if you have the access or the ability or the money to have a bunch of stuff there at your house. You can just set it up there if you need to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I've
But
been
I
that's
play
also
the
doing.
long game. Like last year, I got an elliptical. It's a real like basic mechanical one where it just has the cables and the pulleys. It's not hydraulics or whatnot, but I just get things like little by little, I guess. And
Hmm.
as you know, but I recently got the tricycle, the trike, and like that. I can't even like start to describe it. That's very good from the exercise uh, viewpoint, but it's a lot of fun too.
Looks fun.
Danielle, do you do the recumbent trike every day like you were doing?
I do guess, but it's stationary. It's not like yours. Mine stays still. It's like a
Right,
workout bike. I would like to go
right.
outside though, like you have with your trike. I mean, because the weather is now getting nicer, and I want to be outside more. But that's awesome that you had that.
yeah, Danielle. How much do you walk a day?
Walking. I mean, I could do more now. The weather's getting nicer. I definitely do more. Right now I'm not doing as much as I should be. but I'm definitely walking.
Get on it,
But
girl.
with that,
I said, get on it, girl.
when I go to physical therapy, she puts me on the treadmill. Do you think that's helpful?
It's helpful if you do it often. She's trying to make you do it. That's what she's trying to do.
Oh, okay.
And that's what the physical therapist wants to do. They want to make you work out. They want to make you move.
Right.
So you just got to get better. You got to do it on your own. You
Okay.
got to do it on your own as well. Like, don't just wait to go to physical therapy. Do stuff in the house yourself or outside,
Okay.
like you said. You know.
Okay. I'll do that.
Yeah, I started walking really early in the morning because I get so busy in the day that I started getting up an hour early every morning to go for a walk. And the reason why it's good to go for a walk outside because you need sunlight at least 20 minutes a day.
Right.
So I do that daily or try to daily.
Hey, when Art and I went to Vegas, we went out one night walking, and the thing said we had walked 9.2 miles.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, God,
And
we're
on
far
this
away.
strip too, like with all those people and everything, I can't imagine.
Oh, yeah, we were walking too, man. I was like, man, we're far away from the hotel. I didn't know what direction we're going in. But yeah, we were putting the miles in there because it was, it's real cool at night, and we were sweating. I was like,
Wow.
"Oh."
Yeah, I know, Dan, you wanted to come with us. But after looking at how many miles we were walking, I started to think to myself, it's good that Dan didn't come because that was,
Yeah. Yeah, because if I was hoofing it, that would take me all night.
yeah. But at a couple points, Danny was like, slow down. But I told him I have one speed. I can't slow down. I can't run. I just walk fast.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm trying to sightsee. He's just trying to go.
On a mission.
One
Yeah, I mean, it
speed.
works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one
The
speed.
thing is, but Danielle, like, you gotta I mean, you could do that too, but you got to do it every day, like because every workout is like building upon the last one. You know what I mean? So you have to slowly but surely build things up. And
So do a little more every day?
well, I mean, let's say if you get to where you can walk 2 miles and it's a killer. So you walk 2 miles for a week or two straight every day, or at least 5 days a week, and then you bump it up. The same thing with weights. You can't go up in weight every single week. So you would increase your weight 10 pounds in a given exercise. You do that for a week or two, three maybe at max, and then you increase it again. So the little steps allow your body to acclimate to the increased intensity. You know,
Okay.
Yeah, and just so you know, Danny took his time with me. It would take me what, like double the time the normal rate.
to work out, yeah, it was like an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half. You were the last person I had at night. Come in at 7:30 and be like 8:30, 8:30 or 9 before you left.
Yeah. So it just took a while longer, but eventually I got better and better when no one said it was possible.
Yeah, I
But
would keep the
that
exercise
just
the same
goes
for like three or
back
four
to
months straight.
counseling. What?
I said I would keep the exercise the same like 3 or 4 months straight. Usually you change them over, a month or so, just so you don't get stale. But when you're trying to build ability like you were, I just kept the same thing over and over and over and over and over, you know. But then you get good at it. And then when you get really good at it, then you change it radically. Then it becomes a challenge again. But you can do the same thing for a long time, Danielle, without it getting, boring or without it plateauing.
Okay.
Yeah, still, I have yet to plateau in anything. I constantly get better whatever I'm doing.
It works. That's why we push it. It works. Everybody thinks like this is why I like to think we're different, because I always tell Art, I want to differentiate myself. I don't want to be the same cheesy, shitty salespeople that are just trying to screw people. Everybody thinks like we're saying this because we're charging and we want to make money from exercise programs. Yeah. Who doesn't want to live off of the thing that they do? You want to do that if you can do it. But that being said, it works, and you have to keep at it. So the money is almost a side issue. Like, yeah, I want to make money, but at the same time, this does work. It's something that works. Not trying to screw anybody out of money or time or anything like that. It's something that actually does work. Like a lot of things you get, they can't make guarantees, or they'll make guarantees and they don't give a shit. They'll know it ain't gonna work. But we guarantee that anybody that does any of these things will get better to some extent. You will.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it fail yet. And I don't, but based on my knowledge of physiology, I don't see how it can fail. But if you have a neurodegenerative issue and you don't do anything, or you don't do it enough, you do it here and there, you really won't get better. Because if you have no issues, you're just an average person with no neurological problems, if you work out here and there, then you get laissez-faire results. And those are people with no issues. So you're starting behind the 8 ball. So you need to pour on the gas even more, like Art did. You know what I mean? To get, but you can get something out of it. And it doesn't require any special medications or any special types of exercise techniques. It just requires hard work and consistency. I know it sounds so cheesy. People say that, like, you got to be consistent, but it's true. Because it's the one thing that people fail on is being consistent. They'll work out 4 days and they'll take 3 days off. Then they'll work out 3 days and take 5 days off. You can't make headway that way. You can't, because every workout you do builds upon the last one. But if you wait long enough, even a week or so, it's like you're just constantly starting over.
Yeah.
Stop saying you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. Monday through Sunday, work out at least 5 of those days, if not 6. You ain't got to work out 7. If you take 1 day off and rest, it's good for your nervous system. But I'd say with a neurological issue, 5 to 6 days a week.
It sounds really good to drive home the degenerative like that's the key word, the degenerative. It's like going downhill, and if you don't do anything, you're just going to get faster and faster and faster when you don't want to go faster in this scenario, say. And with working out, it's like you're putting the brakes on your downhill decline, however you want to say it.
Yeah, and that's like looking at it from the least possible angle. You're putting the brakes on. At best, you're pushing yourself back in the other direction. Because like Art said, but by all accounts, Art's condition should be worse now than he was 4 years ago. He should be, but he's not. He's way better. So how do you explain that? Well, there are a ton of studies. I know everything has a value. Studies have a value, but I freaking hate it because people in the medical community, they get dogmatic and they get tunnel vision. And a lot of them it's just to make money and to sell things. And they'll say, well, there's no studies for this or there's no studies for that. Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's not true. There's not a ton of studies that show that somebody with ataxia or any other kind of neurodegenerative problem can be made way better, or maybe even cured. Or at the very least, let's say if they exercise and they adopt something like the carnivore diet, that they can't reverse it. And to what extent, we don't know. No, there are no long-term studies that show that, but we know it's true because we've seen it firsthand. So even though there's no official study to say that that's true, it does work. That's how people have always learned things. And scientists and doctors like throw that out the window, or they try to throw in your face, well, there's no studies that show that. Well, then you could say, well, there's no studies that show it doesn't work either, because there aren't. But it's a little game they play, and I don't like it because, all throughout history, that's how people learn things. They try stuff like this, the carnivore diet and exercise with something like ataxia, and then they start finding over days, weeks, months, years, it works for them, and then it kind of spreads out, and they realize like, hey, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people around the world that are adopting this approach, and they're saying it's working. That's the kind of thing that prompts a study. So then somebody says, hey, we got to study this because this looks like it's working. So when there's no studies and people tell you there's no studies for something, that doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I don't care. That doesn't mean anything. Because that's like saying, oh, well, there's no studies, so let me not do it. Like, no, do it. If it works, it works.
Yeah, if I listen to studies, I would not be where I am at all. I would still be stuck in the wheelchair.
Yeah. It's like we were talking about using ivermectin for cancer treatment. There are a lot of doctors who are experimenting with it, and they have small trial studies because they see that it does seem to work on cancers, but the bulk of mainstream medicine says no, that doesn't work. And so if most people will be exposed to the bulk of mainstream medicine, so if you say something like that to them, like you should try ivermectin, they'll say you're crazy. That doesn't work. You know what I mean? It was the same thing with the COVID BS. That doesn't work. But it's you try things. Most innovations in any field come outside of the field. They come from outliers in the field. They don't come from mainstream. Most people that innovate in science, technology, you name it, whatever it is, they don't. Most innovations, most massive discoveries don't come from the mainstream of the field, because the mainstream of the field gets stuck in a rut and they don't try anything. Like ivermectin is what you call a repurposed medication. It was meant for parasites, first made for the parasite that causes river blindness in Africa. But it's gone way beyond that. It cures the common cold, it kills COVID, it kills the flu, and now it's an anti-cancer drug, repurposed medication. It's already made, it's already out there, it's already safe. Now let's try for other stuff. So we're telling you, me and Art are telling you that exercising regularly and adopting the carnivore diet, or at least getting as close to it as you can stand, works. It will work.
Yeah,
And to what degree it works depends on to what degree you apply it. How often you exercise, how hard you exercise, how much you push yourself, and how much you adhere to that clean diet.
yeah. A thing that makes me upset is people say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna die early." That's not true. If you stay active, you're not gonna die early. And what I mean by staying active is working out at least 5, 6 days a week. People that die early are the people that they don't do anything. They just sit around and watch TV. That's why they pass away early. They don't do anything. They just sit around. And
Well,
you can't
look at
do
the
that.
last. I went with you to the last two Ataxia conferences, right? And you had everybody there. You had a wide range of people, but most people that I saw were not invalid. Most people that I saw were not totally crippled up, and many people I saw were using walking and driving assistance devices, like Jody, that could walk. Remember, she wheeled her electric wheelchair up to the table, the smorgasbord, and then got up and made a plate. And I'm thinking, why don't you just walk over there? Yeah, it's hard, it sucks, but you're not going to make it any better if let you take that first step. And it's just, I think a lot of those people, because they're told, everything they hear from mainstream is telling them like, and it just gives them. I really felt like this room is full of a bunch of people that are hopeless. They feel like there's no real. They're waiting for an answer. You know what I mean? They're coming to this place. They're hoping to find an answer, or at least to get some information, and they don't really provide much information. When you go to those conferences, I've only been to two, but going to those conferences, I realize there's nothing that I'm hearing here that you couldn't just find out online yourself. Like you could, you know what I'm saying? Like there was nothing groundbreaking. There was nothing that like, oh, hey, I didn't know that. There's nothing you couldn't find out yourself. Now, we go for what reason? To show face, to interact with people, to network with people, to make connections. That's a good idea, but I know a lot of those people are breaking out notebooks, taking notes, like they want to find something out. And for all of the pageantry and all the presentation, there wasn't much solid information. It was basically just telling people stuff they already knew, you know?
Dan, you've been at both the conferences that we were at. What's your opinion?
There's two. Yeah, you're right, Danny. That the information aspect of the conference is like pretty quickly delivered and everything. And after that, it's kind of repetitive, and it's kind of like you don't really gain much more after that point. So the bigger aspect to me of going is the social aspect and seeing people that I've met online. And of course, at its core, you're talking about like kind of a bummer situation that we all live with, and hopefully it's you can share experiences and tips and what works and what things like that, and try to um, I think it maybe first starts with your morale and your attitude about how to move forward. A lot of people that are just like sitting around not doing anything, well, I think that's what they need, is to have the interaction with others before they, because if they're not inclined to do anything, surely they're not going to do anything like by themselves. So perhaps with other people, sharing your experiences and attitudes towards everything, then that might give them the kick in the ass that they need, or the boost that they need.
No, I agree with you. That's why I was saying, like, the aspect of us, like, going and showing face, meeting people who've seen us online, or people we may never have seen. That's one good thing about it. You can meet a lot of people that otherwise you never would have met. Because we met a couple from, where was it, Vermont or Maine or something. We sat at a table with people, just struck up conversation, and yeah, I think that's a great aspect of it. And it's kind of like, because a lot of people will come up to us and say they've seen our videos or seen us online, but it's different meeting somebody in person. It's more real. If that makes sense.
Yep. 100%.
Obviously, not to sound stupid. Obviously, it's more real, but you know what I mean. It's like it's like a reality to you. It's like hearing about something, but then once you actually do it, you're like, now I really understand it, or I really know.
Yeah.
That's like that guy, what was his name? Bam.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thought I was a fake person. I told him I'm not fake. I'm really
Man, so
fake.
what are y'all pulling some kind of scam or something? Like, what's going on? Is this real?
Who was that? Or I mean, like, what happened?
Well, he thought I was like scamming or I was fake or something. A con artist. I think that's what he said. I was like, no, I'm real.
See?
Yeah,
Funny.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, yeah, it does. Like Art said that to show face, it's more realistic, I guess. It's more of a reality to people. They know it's a reality. They see videos, me and him making videos, talking and doing things online. But it's like meeting your hero or something, or somebody, your favorite music act or something. But when you meet them, it's different than listening to their music or watching their movies. It just adds an element of realism to it, and it's inspiring. So I think it is good for that. I think it's good for networking, like meeting people you don't know or make connections or, I mean, we spend half the time like passing out business cards saying, look, call me, pick my brain, whatever you need, we'll try to help you. So it's good in that respect too. I can see the goodness I was just thinking more along the lines of the 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 officially stated purpose of the conference, speakers and to give you information. And I was thinking like, well, they're not really telling you anything that you couldn't find out with your own research, you know? And a lot of people are there, they want to hear something hopefully new. They want to hear something like hopefully something's been discovered since they last did research or what have you. So I don't know. In that respect, I think it's like it doesn't really do much for, anybody. I think it's more of like the
Yeah,
social
yeah.
aspect like
No, and
Dan said.
what's more is they do put all that. They put all the information in the, through webinars and they put all these resources online and they're like ongoing, and it's really a great resource to tap into. Going to the conference is like, yes, you get to see that in person, but meeting everyone in person is like, I mean, I guess they're one and the same, but just to go in person just changes the game,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can see it. I can see it. Probably just for us though, like I mean, I can see where sometimes it'll be like not convenient, like I wouldn't be able to do it. But depending on my day job, it depends on what I have to do. Because since I do personal training 1-on-1, it's like if I call out tomorrow, I don't make a call, I make like 10 phone calls.
It's like,
well, you better tell it to Mr. Moneybags because he doesn't like to live low. He likes to live large.
I tell you what, Vegas was definitely cheaper than Orlando.
Wait a minute. How'd you know I was calling you Moneybags?
Because I figured Vegas was definitely cheaper than Orlando.
Really?
it's
Orlando, we stayed
not
at a
the
resort.
airfare.
Yeah.
Airfare
but Orlando, we
was
stayed
more
at a resort.
expensive, but the hotel was a lot cheaper.
Would you say?
Airfare for us was only like $200 cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Art, did you like the Caribe Royale in Orlando better than Planet Hollywood?
Oh, I liked Planet Hollywood the best.
Yeah, it was much better. I think it's much better. That Caribe Royale was nice, but it was so hot there, man.
That was the biggest issue. The AC barely worked.
Hey.
And the
we put
Planet
the AC.
Hollywood would get cool fast.
We put the AC on 62.
It took like 3 days to
So like
cool
get
down.
70.
Yeah, dude, it was hot, man. Florida was hot. So hot. We would go downstairs, we'd come out the hotel, and as soon as you stepped out those doors, it's like sitting in a steam bath. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. No, it was warm for sure. The amenities and the facilities were better at the Planet Hollywood, but the big kicker was that it's so spread out. It was very far away to get to everywhere. It was pretty far distance. At least in Orlando, is all contained to that resort.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. When I say we in Vegas, we walked 9.2 miles. That was one night. That was like from like 8 o'clock to like midnight. It's like 9.2. We did that every day. I was like, oh my God, we're getting like million steps in. Yeah, it was crazy. Because in Vegas, you're right, everything was spread out. You couldn't go to CVS without walking a quarter mile.
It looks close, but it's not close.
Nah.
That's because they always have those like super nice, majestic shots from above, and it's like, oh, that's not too bad. But it's like, yeah, when you're down on the ground, down on the street, you're like, damn, that's so far, dude. We were circling around because we were trying to get dropped off at like near the Planet Hollywood, but like we were circling around the strip right there, and it's so busy so the closest we could get was like still a far off distance. It was like I don't know. It took like at least 20 minutes, and we could cross over an intersection because we had to go to the intersection, cross, and then walk back. It didn't take all too long, but it was like, yeah, man, you can't just like pull up somewhere so easily.
Yeah, Orlando, you're right. Orlando was very convenient because everything was right in Woods Resort. And that was nice.
Besides a steakhouse.
Oh, that steakhouse was fantastic.
In
Saltgrass.
Orlando?
Yep.
Yeah, Saltgrass
Oh.
Steakhouse. I've been to Roast Chris and all the big steakhouses. By far, that steakhouse was the best.
It was fantastic.
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
So if anybody's interested in that steakhouse, I'll put a link in the description. It's more of a southern steakhouse, or it's based out of Florida. But I'll put a link in the description because it's really that good.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? Everything in San Diego was nice, but expensive. Like San Diego was expensive too, man. All that food was insane. The prices. And the Uber driver said he's paying $7.30 a gallon for gas. Like, oh my God. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
San Diego.
the reason he brought up San Diego is because that's when we went to Tijuana to get stem cells from R3.
Yes.
To go to Arthur, yeah.
And we stayed in San Diego, and they pick you up in San Diego and drive you across the border
across the
to
border.
their clinic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because you're in a medical van, you can bypass those long lines you always see on TV, like where the long lines are trying to get all bottleneck through. You get to bypass
Oh,
that. At
wow.
least going over. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, San Diego's weather was nice too.
Yeah.
Super nice. Warm in the daytime, not humid, cool at night. It's fantastic.
Nice.
All
But
good.
then
Hey,
you're from San Diego, aren't you?
That's right. Yeah. But I grew up in North County, so it's like 35 minutes north of the city. But yeah, definitely. I love San
Yeah.
Diego. I'm
we
glad
were
I grew
down,
up there.
we were right on the bay, right across from Coronado Island.
Okay. Yeah.
It was really nice there.
Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this conversation, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell